Welcome to the Off the Cuff podcast.
Yes.
I am Devoid Shaun.
Yeah, he's devoid of a culture. Me, I am Danny.
You know, the irony is that normally I'm the one who's just shitting on myself in that regard for the fun of it, because I find it very entertaining and fulfilling.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, he just decides to just basically compliment me by staying neutral and saying nothing about me, while he's saying that basically he's the one who's devoid of culture. Which is not what he intended. We have podcast shirts now. They're obviously not for sale. These are exclusive to us for the moment, but obviously as we grow the community here, there might be a chance for you guys to own a t-shirt as well at some point in the future. I don't know why you would want to, but there's a lot of people who do like that kind of merch for some reason.
No kidding.
So I've actually had a thought about like making a custom one instead of just like this. Like it can stay this way originally if we decide to. But my thoughts is that we could see either my sister or somebody else commission, whether you guys volunteer or not, to do this custom like art, whether it's hand drawn, whether digitally or otherwise, and then copied into a program or not, so that we could just have our faces and our heads, you know, and then have them like tilted like this, you know, counter tilted.
That would be awesome.
And then have that there instead for the podcast. I thought that would actually look really fucking good.
What was really cool was a buddy yesterday told me that as a cool marketing ploy, grow my hair out all foofy and stuff, and then be called the Ginger Jew. Yeah.
And the irony is that he got that yesterday or whenever it was, and the day before yesterday, my mom, because I had issues myself health-wise, I wasn't able to go as much as I wanted to help do yard work and stuff and go to a garden center with my sister and my mom, but they went down to a garden center down the road from where she lives, and they found a wandering Jew on the ground. Apparently that was like a long-standing colloquialism and colloquial title or term or name for this like houseplant.
Okay.
And I don't know, because obviously everyone's SJW these days and DEI and everything else. I have no idea what the quote-unquote politically correct colloquial name is now for that plant. Yeah. I also don't know the scientific or the Latin name, so I couldn't tell you. But, yeah, and so as soon as she said that, and it's called Wandering Jew, I was like, first, you're like, what? And then I realized there's a joke in it, which is like, well, does that mean that anytime Shaun comes over, that we have two Wandering Jews? And then I made a joke to him yesterday about it when he told me about the whole Ginger Jew thing, and I'm like, well, that'd be two Wandering Jews, so then does that mean that we're technically Nazareth? Our apartment is literally Nazareth?
Apparently, yeah.
And therefore we have, since Jesus was a wandering Jew, that this is where, if Jesus is real in that sense, that's where he's going to resurrect, is in our apartment. Three wandering Jews.
Exactly.
That's so stupid, but it's true. Jokes is lowbrow, and low bar as they are right themselves. But yeah, anyways,
for this episode, we're gonna do it truly off the cuff. We were actually thinking of doing a series of, what was it called?
On cults.
On cults, exactly.
Yep, and I still want to do that. We both kind of do. Well, we don't both kind of, we both definitely do. He more so than I. But the thing is that, as I told him yesterday, I think we should put it off indefinitely, because it feels like it really would be more of a standalone project that would be dedicated to its own kind of docu-series in a way.
Exactly.
And so as a result, like I didn't like the idea of it interrupting the flow of the episodes of the podcast or whatever.
No kidding.
And then all of a sudden, like, it's not off the cuff anymore. Now we actually are completely the opposite, and we're actually having a focus on, the history and breaking down cults and cult mentalities, cult behaviors, cult leaders, and how they manipulate people and successfully get members and all that stuff. And obviously I do have experience in a cult, which is Jehovah's Witnesses. So then you have the SDA connection, you have the Scientology connection, you have the Mormon or LDS connection, Latter-day Saint connection.
David Koresh and all of that garbage.
And ironically, because I'm an Oregonian, born and raised, we also have that connection to the Rajneeshas. So it's actually very interesting how that kind of correlates at that point. So
Exactly.
kind of the structure of it, if we do this, is going to be starting with, he wants to start with David Koresh, and obviously, therefore, the branch Davidians. And so we'll start with that, and then we figured we'll go to the Rajneeshas next after that, and then we'll go on down the line through what I am putting in air quotes, and I put in quotes as well to him as proper or true cults, ones that basically aren't up for debate. And then once we do that, and I'll probably be 4 or 5 episodes dedicated to that, then we'll start to go into the general cult territory, which is the ones where it's argued and debated and gone to war about.
Exactly.
Even though the majority of people do clearly use the actual officially, come together criteria for and known and acknowledged and proven criteria for what makes a cult a cult.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people like to be semantic about it, especially Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons. They're like, well, it's not a cult. You can call it a high control group, but it's not a cult. And we've already talked about how in episodes we'll probably put a disclaimer / a little bit of an educational thing in there of why it clearly, if you use basic logic and common sense, you cannot say that there's really much of a difference between a cult and a high control group. They're basically the same thing. It's just one's trying to be more PC and I guess like gentle to them.
Yeah,
than
no
not
kidding.
for the people who are more sensitive to that and don't like the idea of having their group called a cult when it's literally fits the full criteria for it, like Jehovah's Witnesses, like
Exactly.
Mormons. But yeah, so yeah, and then that's basically where it would naturally go to. So after the quote-unquote true cults, we go on to those kind of cults. And we figured that Jehovah's Witnesses, actually no, Scientology would be the perfect one, because that would be the finale for the true cults, quote-unquote. And then we would go on from there to the most heavily relatable or related or similar cults that aren't considered true cults, like Jehovah's Witnesses, and Mormons. And then after we do Jehovah's Witnesses to Mormons, then we would do Latter-day Mormons, Latter-day Saints. What I meant to say was
FLDS or some shit like that.
well, no, I was going to say is we were going to do probably SDA, so Seventh-day Adventists, because the people, a lot of times, in fact, in that argument and debate that they get into about how Jehovah's Witnesses aren't cults, but if they are, then, and Mormons aren't either, but if they are, especially Jehovah's Witnesses, then okay, fine. If that's the case, then SDA, Seventh-day Adventists, should be considered a cult too, because they have more similarities between them than Jehovah's Witnesses do with the Mormons, which technically, I would argue, is not technically true.
Yeah.
I would argue it's about the same.
So,
But about the same amount of similarities, which is a lot.
well, in that same vein, when you talked about the whole issue about what was it called? When you talked about the whole issue about applying common sense and what was it called? And well, basically, not applying semantics in that regard. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The fact is that what was it called? Honestly, I mean, let's get the brass tacks here. Me being the Jew here, I actually think Christianity is one heck of a cult.
Well,
I mean, it was small to begin with, and then it grew from there.
yeah. I would use this phone. The problem is I can't, because this is just used as a tablet because it doesn't have any data on it. So because it's not actually a phone anymore. So I can't actually use that to then go and look up the whole byte model. But the byte model, if you get a chart for that, is a perfect thing to look up, because that's what you use to, especially, like, if you really want data-driven basis and foundations for determining if something's a cult, you use the byte model. That's pretty much the go-to.
How do you spell byte model?
It's literally BITE.
Okay, because there's two ways to spell it. There's BYTE and then
Yes,
BITE.
but it's not tech, obviously. So, as much as what's his face with Scientology L. Ron Hubbard would have adored that. He might adopt the byte model at that point if it was BYT.
Okay, so
The byte model.
freedom of mind resource center, byte model, and authoritarian control.
Yeah. Because obviously dictatorships use the same tactics and basis and function basically the same as the
Steve
cult does.
Hassan developed the BITE model to describe cults' specific method to recruit, maintain control over people. BITE stands for behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. The BITE model is used within the influence continuum to help determine authoritarian control. Not every group or relationship uses every one of these, but some of these universals, such as deception, information control, indoctrination people to distrust critics or former members, or installing phobias to make people afraid of questioning or leaving. Okay, you know what that literally sounds like to me right then and there?
Well, obviously,
hell.
Yeah, to me it's just straight up Jehovah's Witnesses because poster shouts.
Yeah, hello,
Holy shit.
I'm sorry, but this literally sounds like hell to me, all right?
Yeah, and again,
I mean-
just as a reminder, I was born and raised in Jehovah's Witnesses, so like I can say for firsthand experience, especially as a hyper-observant mind and individual, like and detail-oriented, like it's immediately obvious that
Exactly.
they are absolutely one of those things.
But
That's why they call them a doomsday cult too, right?
Exactly.
Because not only do they believe in a doomsday for everyone, especially themselves, but that they're going to be the target of it, and therefore, as it starts towards Armageddon begins. Now, you see, they're going to be persecuted so aggressively because they have a persecution complex. Part of the fear-mongering.
exactly.
Yeah, everything else. So,
But yeah, I mean,
any questioning of their thing, including by apostates, aka worldly people, people who are not in there or left, are
in their worldview,
are the people who are bringing forth that prophecy of persecuting them.
Well, no
because
kidding.
everything's persecution. It basically just backs themselves up.
well,
It's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy or cycle
Well,
that
no
they've
kidding.
intentionally constructed in order to get further control over people and their members.
well, I mean, dude, I mean, the fact is, I mean, a great example. I mean, just as I stated, you're literally in Christianity, in all different sectarian groups or groups of Christianity.
Yes.
There's a concept of a hell, essentially.
Yes,
Almost all of
absolutely.
them.
Yeah.
And basically, they use that as a scare tactic to
Yep.
put into you to scare into you this notion: don't you dare leave, don't you
Yep.
dare question, don't you dare.
Yep, and for Jehovah's Witnesses, their version of that is Armageddon. 'Cause
Exactly.
They don't believe in a hell or a purgatory, but they believe in the worldly earth versus paradise earth. Yeah, Armageddon, and how the anointed ones will go up to the heaven that they don't believe exists somehow with Jesus as he resurrects, to then determine who are the ones who are truly God's people, Jehovah's people, and will be resurrected unto the paradise earth or whatever. It's so stupid.
Well, no kidding, it is. It's dumb.
But like anything that isn't Jehovah's Witness is literally considered worldly, and therefore what worldly means is influenced or controlled by Satan as demons. That's what they always say.
That's literally the worldview of what was it called? That's literally the worldview of Christianity. It's basically anything that has to do with flesh or knowledge.
Technically, yeah. The thing is, of course, I want to specify and differentiate a little bit, because though technically at the basis and the foundation, that's true. There's no real difference there, discernibly. When using discernible thought processing, technically, that's, again, what further emphasizes the point that Jehovah's Witnesses don't necessarily not believe that traditional, almost old-world Catholic mindset and view of things and how the religion works. Rather, they rebrand everything obsessively and then insist that it's entirely different when it's blatantly true to anybody who uses the remotely slight brain function that blatantly it's the same thing. It's
Well,
just rebrand.
dude, I mean, the fact is, when I was a Christian, and hello, yes, I was a Christian.
He was also a Satanist.
Yes, exactly. I was taught that, what was it called? I was taught this whole ordeal that basically, that if you question the pastor's worldview, or basically if you gave in to, if you saw someone's worldview and when they were quote unquote an atheist that challenged your worldview or whatever, the at least proper Christian doctrine, you were basically you were conspiring to the demons in that regard.
Yeah, which is part of the fear-mongering, to make sure that you don't question. Because if you question, the moment you question means that you're using constructive thought. And if you're actually thinking for yourself, then that means they don't have control. And if they don't have control, then that means that you're poisoning your spirituality, whatever the brand of it is. In other words, you know, they're going to immediately fearmonger to make sure you don't question the doctrine. You don't question your leadership, and you don't question anything.
But back then, man, I was a Christian, man. I didn't have anything to do with the cults, per se. I'm just talking about specifically the, what was it called?
I know that. I was saying in general for Christianity as well.
Okay.
Not specifically Jehovah's Witnesses of the cults either. Because technically at its foundation, all religion is about a form of power and control.
It is, yes.
Dynamic. Like, it's about you have to be considered lowly or subservient, including in your own mind and to yourself, and your views that way. So that you can fear God and make sure that you're, you know, a good Christian, so to speak, which is just ridiculously stupid if you really think about it, because that's really that it's that simple. But why is it that simple? Like, you know, it's just absurd. So all of them inherently form out of that, and that's obviously a power control authoritarian dynamic where it's like we have absolute authority over you. And you can't, you know, and then that's why you have to have now a prophet or an elder body or governing body or whatever the fuck your brand of it is, and especially Christianity, let alone all religion really, that has the final say on, you know, the light, quote unquote, whether they use the term new light or whatever else, because supposedly God can't change his mind, yet he does all the time, or whatever, depending on where and when the control mechanism needs to change in order to retain certain membership or whatever. It's all so stupid. Yeah. That's whether, like, you can't question your pastor, you can't question your, whatever the leadership is, the hierarchy, whatever else, you know, because that means that you're questioning, that means you're constructively thinking, you're starting to think for yourself, and that might mean that you lose your faith, which is literally fear-mongered against as like the end of the world, you know. But in reality, obviously that's not how that works for obvious reasons, right?
Exactly.
So it's just kind of absurd, yeah.
Yeah.
Here comes the group we continued the joke, or I continued the joke with, and it's like, no, but yeah,
okay.
Nice people, no, we're assholes, so.
Yeah, so for context.
Did you make the right decision?
Yeah, did you make the right decision? Okay, so for context purposes, basically, we were searching for a place to perform our episode, and then basically they complimented us in the third person. And
it was technically an indirect backhand compliment to kind of like technically it was a form of gaslight. Actually.
It was.
It's like, hey, can we say nice people while looking at these people? Like, can you take our picture?
Yeah, can
like,
you take a picture?
Yeah, and I was like in my asshole cat-like self. I'm like, well, you know, I wonder where you find people like that are nice people, because I'm not a nice person. I'm an asshole.
Yeah, we're both.
we all laughed about it, but I think they probably assumed that we were going to come back and be like, no, I'm just kidding. But no, I was like, I'm going to commit fully to the bit. Like, if you started the damn bit, I'm going to continue. I'm going to end it.
I'm going to fucking end it.
I'm going to carry it through and end it. And then you're going to have to decide for yourself if you've made the right decision or not.
Exactly.
If that's the result you actually expected or wanted, or you're okay with.
Yeah. In case you guys are wondering, we're both assholes.
Yeah, so funny. I did feel bad, obviously, because
well, of course,
my
I
core,
felt bad
like,
too.
I don't want to be an asshole to people, but at the same time, I'm like, but the bitch.
It was too good to pass up.
Yes. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You started it. I'm gonna carry it through, and I'm gonna end it. You've got to determine if you made the right decision.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure they already did find somebody to take a picture of them. I'm pretty confident in that. I'd feel even worse, though, if they were from out of state.
Yes.
Because then it's like, okay, they're just visiting for a short period of time. That's
okay. That
not a
that
great
would be
impression.
horrible.
'Cause
That's
it's
not
like,
a good impression.
What the hell, dude? Like, maybe you're an
Yeah.
asshole. Well, yeah, I am, but also, like, a fun asshole, I feel like is what I am. Not the
Yes.
dick asshole. I can be a dick asshole, but rarely. Like, you pretty much, you have to piss me off in order to make me into a dick asshole. I'm now realizing what that visually creates in your head as a vision when you say dick asshole, but that's this is why we don't think things through.
In other words, you're a Richard Cranium.
Yeah. Sphincter Johnson. But anyway. Yeah. But also in that vein, we were actually looking for a place to do the episode because I knew where I wanted to take the episode today. Because we had planned this out for a while. We're like, okay, today is Tuesday. We're like, well, this is going to be the best day in the forecast because it's going to be cooler than it has been. Instead of mid-upper 70s and
Exactly.
exceedingly sunny, it's going to be partly to mostly cloudy and like low 60s, mid 60s. So it's like, we're going to plan for this day, and we're going to go to Tualatin Hills Nature Park this time, because I know of a bench that's like, or a picnic table that's like never used, which is over there across the parking lot. Alas, they've decided to barricade it behind a padlocked gate, because it's only for interpretation in classes.
Yeah.
Even though it's like never occupied or used ever. And so I guess apparently they said now they need to padlock it heavily too, to make sure that no one goes in there when nobody uses it and actually uses the picnic table for what it's for.
Exactly.
So we're like, well, now what? And then I realized when looking around, I saw these 3 picnic tables here.
Yeah.
And we're now stuffed between the parking lot, the West Side Regional Trail, utilities, and dumpsters.
Exactly.
And it's
you just gotta love it, man.
Slightest little bit of forest on and behind us and to our left.
Exactly.
Yeah, or to our west, but yeah. It's so stupid. Both are THPRD parks, by the way, too. So that even furthers how, in my opinion, shittily THPRD operates. Because why do you, at a big park, a regional park at Bethany Lake, why do you have, that's really popular, by the way, has a community garden and everything, you have, it's part of the Rock Creek Trail, actually, and a bigger trail that connects into Forest Park. So, like, it's really interconnected, it's really heavily trafficked, and yet, you have a singular picnic table, and then your field is just grass, and you don't have a single table or anything anywhere, and it goes way back, equivalent to like 20 blocks, and you're like, nah, well, just one picnic table will do.
Yeah.
Sorry? And then you do that, and you have all the other reasons why THPRD sucks. Like, they have another ballot measure coming up this month, or the next month, May, because Oregon has, in the primary elections, they always have it in May. I swore it was June, by the way, but apparently it's May. So next month. And one of the ballot measures is going to be to get rid of the old one from 2008 for THPRD, and then redo it for now to get more tax funding, in like $500 million or however much they're probably expecting now for funding for the next package. And it's like, dude, like, your parks are relatively well kept. They're nice-ish, but God, the way you operate is terrible. And there's so many things missing, and then there's not only so many things missing, but then there's no, like, thought put into anything, because they rather padlock things that are technically public in a public space behind things, because they're, like, cliquey, and they want to make sure they get their damn money and everything else, and their membership fees, because I guess the tax funding is not enough. And it's just like, what? You guys are assholes, you know? Like, and there's an argument to be made where people, I'm sure, would make it, where it's like, well, yeah, but it's public. It's a public service, right? So, like, it's a public parks and rec district. So, they need tax money. That's how they operate. Sure, yes. And then, like, oh, the membership helps them. Does it really? Is it really necessary? Because, like, if that's the case, how can Metro keep expanding and having so many of these massive nature parks and regional parks all across Northwest Oregon, and keep adding more, and keep improving them, and keep adding to them, and all they get are taxes.
Yeah.
From bond measures and everything else. That's it. That's all they get. And some of that's split into them funding housing.
Wow.
And building developments of, like, multi-story and mixed-use housing. So, though you could make that argument, clearly it's an invalid argument, because Metro, who's also here and operates here, proves that you don't need memberships and to double charge taxpayers to make this work. You know what I mean? And to keep maintaining your parks incredibly well, have consistent maintenance and security staff, make sure you're always topping off on, like, toiletries and things, turning your freaking water fountains on, not in mid to late June every year like THPRD does, because it apparently might freeze in July. You know, it's just, there's so many things, and a lot of it's the little things, which obviously, if you know how life works, the little things are usually what matters more than the big things, because the little things add up very quickly. And, like, THPRD just chooses to be highly ignorant to, and not care at all about the little things. And so, like, that's why THPRD, in my opinion, sucks. And, like, I would personally never support bond measures for them, because it's like, if anything, it needs to be consolidated or broken up into dedicated park districts, or a new community instead of a community ran parks district, so that way we can actually get the shit that we need and we want.
Honestly, man,
and maintain it correctly, because now we are actually have more motivation and more reason to maintain. I know I said it wasn't bolted down. To maintain all these parks and these green spaces and everything better and more dedicatedly, right? Because now we literally own it and we literally run it, right? We literally fund it and we care for it. So it's literally wholly ours now, instead of a partial private, public but private owned part or ran public entity like THPRD is now. And like I was telling to him earlier, I think honestly, and this is the reason why I'm talking about this now in the podcast episode, is because you might think, oh, why it's just exclusive to this tiny little area, the west side of the Portland area. It's not, because all of this is really applicable across the country in terms of how parks should be ran and how they should be funded and everything.
So, right? Dude, what was it?
But I was going to say, I was telling him earlier,
yeah,
just so I can just complete it,
yeah,
is that what THPRD, or if they reformed it into a community controlled and led and owned parks district, what they should do, or we should do, is learn from the best parks districts in the state, if not in the continent, and like copy that, because we have two really good or two great parks districts, in my opinion, in Oregon, and that's Hillsboro Parks and Rec. This is the one thing they do extremely well, because their urbanism and their housing is fucking god awful. In fact, it might as well not even exist. And then you have, which is ironic because you think it would go hand in hand, but anyway. And then Eugene Parks and Rec is fantastic. If you go down to Eugene, especially your first time, you're gonna love, if you like parks, you love Eugene, because Eugene has such an incredible parks district. They're constantly maintaining them, they're keeping them clean, they're super friendly, and they have a full river, like almost European style river, greenway, and park system throughout the entire city. It's on both sides of the river, but mainly the south side of the Willamette. It's so well done. The one thing that they don't do that Hillsboro does better is they don't have enough facilities, in my opinion. They don't have enough bathrooms, they don't have enough OHs, they don't have enough water fountains in their linear park or anywhere else like that, and that's a problem, because like, this is something that's agitated me about, you know, living in one of the biggest transit systems in the entire country, in TriMet, and also all these parks districts, is that you never have enough water fountains, or sometimes you don't have them at all. If you're TriMet, you don't have water fountains or bathrooms publicly accessible, even OHs, to the public anywhere in your entire system. And it's like, this is a basic public service, and it's a public necessity, and you refuse to to give enough or give it at all. You know, and it's like, so that's one thing that Eugene Parks and Rec doesn't do enough. They don't have enough of those facilities. But outside of that, their parks are amazing. And so, like, the point is, you could learn from both of those parks districts and what they do the best and what they do great, and then implement that, you know, and then ignore or stop doing anything that obviously is not working or doesn't work that well. It doesn't serve people very well.
What was it? So, what was it? I take it that this stuff is given as a result of taxation, correct?
What? THPRD doesn't exist without the tax bond measures.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
The taxation.
Okay, so basically, what was it called? My friend and myself, she is
Technically, all parks and rec districts in the United States don't exist without taxpayer money because they're normally municipal government.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to make sure that wasn't there.
So, basically, yeah, what was it? My friend and me, we were discussing taxation just the other day, and basically, she's observant just like I am and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Or like we are.
Torah observant.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yes, Torah observant, essentially. And basically, one of the things that is a very big deal in Torah is that there is no taxation. That's one thing that freaking drives me up a fucking wall. Is, this stuff is put together by a select group of people, and they have to rely exclusively on taxes and stuff like that. Why is it that the people just don't build it out of the goodness of their heart?
Right. Well, I would, again, my default to that, my go-to is always, it's not in human nature to be good. It's human nature to be exploitative.
Well,
and to self-serve.
Well, no shit.
That's literal human nature. If you look throughout all human history, I always say this, you have to look at all human history collectively. You will always see the same thing, which is that humans are literal parasites. Human nature is to be a parasite. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
So
it sucks, but it's real.
That is true. It sucks, but for crying out loud, man, I mean, if people build gardens on a regular basis and shit that, and quite frankly, that's not that far from a what was it called?
A nature park.
A nature park, for crying out loud.
Except you're not allowed to harvest things in nature parks technically. Which I get to an extent, but like, come on. Because then you're really allowing people to get their hands in the dirt and really learn from it and get healthier from the earth and everything. And
you're allowing people to learn.
Exactly, yeah.
Dig in the earth and learn from it and all of that stuff. Basically, remember the idea that you and me have. Food co-op.
Oh, I still want to do that so bad.
I still do too.
It's a little late in the year now. I mean, we could do it anytime, but like... Because like the area in Heritage, though it's technically an HOA, which means it's probably going to be a pain in the ass to convince them to do it.
Well, no shit.
That's why you got to go to the residents, especially the lower income residents, because they actually make it the majority in that area, and be like, listen, like, this is our idea. This is kind of roughly what it would look like to start.
Exactly.
And what we would hope that, you know, you guys, especially as community members, with any kind of, you know, yard space or whatever, would be willing, especially on the frontage to fronting the roads and stuff, would actually be willing to do is like have garden beds or just directly garden in there or grow some fruit trees or something like that, so that way there's a literal community garden, but it's actually not like THPRD's community garden, so you have to sign up to them. Because it's not, it's only to assign plots. It's literally communal, as in the sense that it's there and it's being grown so that anybody and everybody who passes through, who visits, who lives there, can actually indulge in and learn from.
Exactly.
Like, learn from what they're growing and learn how to grow things and learn how to properly garden and to fend for themselves, especially food-wise, right? Food stability. And it also makes sure that anybody who passes through, anybody who visits, and anybody who lives in the area can indulge in actually harvesting those foods for themselves.
So to set the context, all right, basically him and me, we had an idea to establish some sort of food co-op from neighborhood to neighborhood by setting up little individualized raised beds and stuff like that, where people can actually dig in the dirt and stuff like that.
That would be to start, yeah.
That would be to start, yeah.
So, because where he lives, and I'm going to put a screenshot of the neighborhood in Google Earth up, so you guys can get context in your head for like the areas I'm talking about, and I'll even put the polygons and the overlays about my ideas in my head about like how you could construct it from start to beginning, so you have the context while we talk about it. But there's a lot of like green space and yards, so basically just grass that's wasting people's money and time. Let's face it. Technically helping poison our water supply and our ground with pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and everything else, chemical fertilizers. And the idea would be is that it would start, say, like because they front the main road and the main internal road of his neighborhood. And so, like, the ones that do that, like his does, or whatever, you'd start with him, and then you try to get some of the neighbors in the area, and you can actually just, like, I'll point out, or, like, I guess I don't have to point it out, because you're seeing it on the screenshot, all the different yards I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And so, like, trying to encourage them to use those fronting on the roads yards to then plant garden beds and or garden directly in there, plant like a small dwarf fruit tree or something like that in there, a few of them maybe, if they have the space for it, so that people can and are encouraged to in the neighborhood to be able to start indulging in if and when they need it or they want it, go and harvest some apples or go and harvest some cherries or pears or maybe peaches, because weirdly, for some reason, Oregon peaches grow relatively well once you get them established. It's actually, you wouldn't expect it, but they've always grown really well here. South the Island has farms that have dedicated peach orchards, both freestone and cling. It's actually really freaking cool.
Exactly.
Because peaches are amazing, but especially fresh. That's the only way to really have peaches is fresh when they're ripe, but it's even nectarines, but you have all that, and then eventually it slowly builds up from there. So that would be the start, and that would be to then get, because then it's like free advertising without ever having to say anything. Because now people are seeing it, and they're like, no, please, go help yourself to it, because that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
And then that way, it would help further promote the concept and the idea to expand. And then that would be the start. And then from there, you'd build it up and expand it further. Because, again, as you can see in the screenshot, I'm going to put up on editing on the screen, there's this massive grass spaces and fields across the street, from the main places it would probably start at. And that's technically owned by the HOA in that neighborhood. Yeah. So it would be more difficult, but if you get that other part established first, right? Then what would happen is you'd actually have the ability to hopefully promote, just by having it there, to that HOA, and especially its residents, the benefits of being able to like indulge in having this garden space and being like, okay, this is literally for all of us, not just to learn these valuable skills of growing your own food and and gardening, horticulture, and everything else, but also we can feed ourselves. And we know what we put into this, and we know the effort we put into it, and we know the time we put into it, and we know that we're growing it hopefully cleanly and organically and naturally, rather than with all this stupid chemicals and everything, because that's the area I really want to get to, because there's such a wasted space right now. And if you could just do that, and then again on the screenshot I'll have another one which is going to have the polygons and stuff from Google Earth, so you can see the path. That it makes just perfect sense, because I'm going to connect into other inner paths that connect into different neighborhoods throughout, more inside of it. And then that path would be perfect there too, because now people can come from the apartments further south, and they can walk directly through the garden. And they can also you'd have like bench spaces and stuff, so people could just relax there. It would be really nice to be able to have that, because you probably have hummingbirds, and you'd have your bees, and you have more birds now and everything, because it would be amazing to just experience what you're growing literally together in more ways than one.
But essentially, the reasoning by which I brought that up in connection to, what was it called? Building your own, plot of your own nature park in that regard.
Yeah.
Is because ultimately, think about if you had a group of people that come together and build something like that for food purposes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The same thing can translate over to thematically to building a, what was it called?
Nature park, or just a parks in general.
Parks in general.
Yeah, and then and then maintaining and caring for them.
Exactly, and then maintaining and caring for them.
That circles back to my point I made beforehand.
Exactly.
Right? That's how simple and easy it is to do that, you know? And again, it would incentivize people to really take care more than ever and keep it cleaner than ever, you know, than it does when it's like this, like THPRD does. It would incentivize them not to lock anything down and not to try to, like, get payments or something like that, because it's literally something you've built with your own hands.
Exactly.
And you're maintaining, caring for with your own hands, and it's literally a part of your community, almost becomes a part of your soul in a way, you know?
Exactly.
And the heart and the soul and the culture of your community that you're building, and that's, you're kind of building culture now. You know, you're building a unique trait, basically communal trait that's shared between everybody and their dead grandmother, so to speak, you know, which is, again, I think amazing. Like,
it is amazing.
I think that's the best way to do it. And ironically, Metro is the closest to what we have to something similar to that. It's still tax-based, though. But it's kind of a step in the right direction. But true community-driven means that you don't even pay for it in the sense of taxes or whatever. People just do it, as you say, as a goodness of their heart, or like because they want it and they know they need it.
Exactly.
And their earth around their communities could use it and need it, you know. And yeah. It's all that's really awesome, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's kind of utopian, unfortunately, being in the United States, you know, and ours is a pipe dream. But there, you know, you think that there's got to be communities in various places across the country, especially metro areas, that would want that, and enough of them that they would join forces and pushing for it, if not actually making it happen. You know?
Absolutely.
If it requires some civil disobedience, because they're like, well, technically that's publicly owned land, aka taxed.
Tax.
Fuck you. It's our communal space, too.
Yeah.
And since we are the public who pay the taxes on it, fuck off, government. You know,
yeah, exactly.
Tax man, because
fuck off.
That's not how that should work. And we're going to take control and take it back, our land, so that we can actually use it the way we want to. And maintain it the way we want to, and do the things we need to do with it and want to do with it. Yeah. There's so much benefit to that.
Actually, there is a way to get a piece of land that doesn't require a whole lot of that doesn't require what was it called so that way it's not administered by the government in that regard. I mean, basically, what was it? There are people that I know of that have done that as a means of getting out of debt, essentially.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Maybe there is a way.
But you still need to buy the land.
Exactly.
But yeah, a lot of people, when they do that, though, in the United States, the reason why they're doing it is because it gives them tax breaks if they plant a fuckload of trees on the plot.
Well, no shit.
And then they just keep it that way because it's like, tax break.
Tax break. So
I don't know if it would really help them get out of debt. Probably not, but it would probably lessen it a little bit.
Well, no kidding.
Because now they have less of a tax debt, too. Until they reach 7 years in a relationship with their special someone, or, you know, they... or they own... or they, you know, they're married, then all of a sudden that tax break might not make that much of a difference.
Absolutely.
Or it could be like ODS, Official Duck Studios. I love those guys. They fucking make such stupid but great videos. Down in, I think it's Arkansas, but it might actually be Oklahoma. I think it's actually really like rural, far eastern, extreme eastern edge of Oklahoma. But anyway, you know, and what you do is you do all this stupid stuff and make stupid videos, and then eventually with your friends and have fun with it, and then eventually it gets big enough to where now you can do these bigger and bigger projects, and you can get bigger and bigger tax write-offs for it. So you're basically not even paying for what you're buying.
No,
what you're
buying,
not. What you're putting your money into, because You could write it off as a tax for your business.
Yeah.
'Cause now technically it's a business. Which is always kind of funny. You're still obviously paying through the nose in taxes, but it's just not as much as somebody else would if they indulge in things like that, like things they want to do. Because they get to such a point in a community that, in this case online predominantly, that like it grows to such an extent that like, okay, now they can actually do this literally for their living.
Exactly.
Which is honestly really fucking cool.
But yeah, that's really wasn't a bad idea regarding the
Community gardens.
Community gardens, yeah.
I still so badly want to do that. That space is just too perfect and primed for it. It's just
Hell
like,
yeah.
Come on, man. Get rid of all that lawn. And then, like I've told him before, the another benefit to it that you could sell to the HOA is like, do you know how many thousands of dollars that you're going to save every fucking year? The more of this grass you get rid of and replace with something regenerative like that. And also your reputation is going to go way up because everyone's going to be healthier. They're going to be happier. They're going to be learning skills.
Exactly.
They're going to be active within their community, with their community members.
The thing that you just said, learning skills,
Yeah.
that is something that is desperately needed, especially since we've talked about some, what was it called? Schools in that regard.
Yeah, episode 1 and 2 is the educational system, pretty much. Almost exclusively, yeah. And a little bit governance and politics, obviously, but
Absolutely.
because it's kind of unfortunately
It is, yeah.
harshly related. I feel like harshly related is a perfect way to put it. Brutally related.
Yeah, brutally related.
Because it probably shouldn't be, but yeah, here we are.
Exactly.
Actually, no, education should actually be communal too, I think. Honestly.
Exactly.
/ just up to the parents themselves. But,
In a way, yes. I actually agree with you there. That it should be up to the parents in that regard.
yeah.
But also, definitely communal.
Yeah. I don't know. Because, like, see, I can see both arguments against both
Yeah.
directions also of communal / parental, because a lot of parents are idiots
Yes.
with way too intensive biases. Same with communities. A lot of communities are a little too gung-ho on being willing to try to take over for decisions made for other people's kids. Because
Well, no kidding.
they're like, actually, no, you have to vaccinate your child. Like, dude, that should be up to the parents' decision until
Yeah.
that kid is old enough to make it on their own. Like, plain and simple. That's just the whole start and to end of it. Like, it's absurd that people are like, no, community should take control of that.
No.
That's not how that works. It's not your kid. You can fuck off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but...
Oh, by the way, one thing I wanted to mention.
Yes.
We should try to, which we have done really well this episode, by the way, without even intending to. We really need to try to, like, curb our enthusiasm for using the F-bomb.
Okay.
Because it's, especially episode 3 is going to be the most heavily edited I've ever had an episode so far of the series. Because, like, in episode 2, you might have noticed a few little cuts here and there, especially later. That was those little short cuts where it seems kind of, like, oh, it still flows, but
Yeah.
you still see a cut. That's because I'm literally cutting the
The
F-bombs.
F-bombs.
Because it's just like, there's just getting too excessive. So it's like, we need to kind of curb our enthusiasm in that department, you know what I'm saying?
All right. Good point.
Yeah. So, but we've done a really good job without even mentioning it this episode.
Yep.
I've noticed we've both been very light on that, so that's a positive, man.
Well, actually, I think it's because we have something constructive to bring to the table now.
Every episode we've been very constructive.
Well, no kidding, no kidding. But I think we've done that without without getting over indulging in our emotions, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously the things that annoy us the most are the things that we're most emphatic about, and therefore the most likely that we're going to use those emphatic terms.
Yes.
But we could actually talk about that a little bit too, is language. Especially
Absolutely.
in that
Oh
way.
my
But I'm not I don't mean literal language as a whole, or how stupid English is. We're referring specifically to, suppose, profanity or bad words, bad language. Specifically is what I was referring to. Because, fuck, it's going to be... endless episode. It's gonna
That will be literally an endless episode. Yes.
We have way too much to rant about on the topic of language in general, especially
yes.
English. God. But see there, here come the F-bombs.
Here they come.
Here we go.
Here we go. Case in point.
Case in point of what we just mentioned. Yeah, I was like, yeah. Well, it's the more emotional or emphatic you get, the more that just starts to bleed. Yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, no. In the case of profanities, is what I mean. / bad words or bad terms, quote unquote. We could talk about that. I think that would be a great topic to touch on, especially considering I've mentioned it and brought it up now, actually in an episode, which I didn't necessarily mean to do.
I'm
tried to look into the lens there, and I looked at dead center of my magnet instead. That was well done. Well done.
I'm gonna irk you actually in reference to profanity.
Yeah. I don't think you will be able to do that, but we'll find out.
Well, there were actually several people that actually used curse words in the Bible.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So, because it's a topic that I've always been interested in thinking about and trying to figure out, because, to me, it's so painfully simplistic as to the basis of where they even come from, right? Which is that it's some random person at some random point in time who had a little too much influence, clearly, over people, decided that, I don't like the sound of this word. I'm choosing to take offense to it, therefore it's now profane, or it's bad and you can't say it. And if you really think about it, that's really it's a most simplistic basis. That's really all it comes out of. So my question has always been is why is it that we have to sit here and why do we allow ourselves to just not say certain words or believe that a word is bad or offensive just because someone else took offense to it or says it's bad? Because at the grand scheme, if you really think about quote unquote profanity or bad words, where in history did it happen? And can you even find the person who supposedly officially the world just decided to take after and say, yep, that's a bad word. I agree with you. Because you don't like it, we don't like it. You never can find the person.
Exactly.
Which shows how illogical that is, right? Because why do we care? At the end of the day, because and this goes into general language in general. That was redundant as fuck. Language in general, which is the idea and concept of pointing out the fact that at the end of the day, all language is, and it doesn't matter what language it is. It could be Swahili, it could be Dravidian, it could be, I don't know, Pato, it could be whatever, Esperanto, right? Spanish, English, Deutsch, Swedish, Chinese, whether it's Mandarin or it's, Cantonese, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what language it is, whether it's extinct or it's current. At the basis of language, all words are entirely empty and meaningless because it's up to the speaker and or writer to input their intentions into it.
So,
and therefore, my argument's always been is that it's the intention. All that matters is the intention of the person who's speaking and or writing.
So I think that's true to an extent. I mean, basically, one of the things that, and this is where, what was it called? This is where things get divisive a bit in this regard, is that there's a sort of communal aspect, essentially.
Yeah.
When you're communicating words in that regard, you have to communicate them to a specific person in a way that they understand you.
Obviously, yes.
So,
which we both have a lot of trouble with a lot of times because people are idiots.
Yes.
And most people don't don't actually seek to understand.
Exactly.
Because they've already made up their minds or whatever else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, actually, that's true to an extent, but then there's also what was it called?
Everything's to an extent, apparently.
Yes. Well, I mean, I've got polyglots that I converse with on a regular basis, and I discuss grammar theory with them and stuff like that. They understand what the heck I'm talking about at times.
Yeah.
But
key words at times. You didn't even catch yourself saying that, did you?
well,
If
about
not,
a good 75% of the time. All right.
That's actually surprising. I didn't expect it to be that much.
Yeah, about a good 75% of the time.
I don't know. It's funny because, like, I guess, yeah, it's probably 70-75% of the time it's improved for the last few years for me in terms of communicating with people and people actually understanding what I am conveying. But, like, for the longest time, it was, like, I'd say maximum 50% of the time people did. And the other half of the time, it's just like, we don't understand each other. It's like we're speaking foreign languages to each other.
Exactly.
And it drove me fucking ballistic. It still does. It's one of the most infuriating things to me, because, like, to me, and I've always used this term for years, because as dramatic and emphatic as it is, it's very literal to me. I actually mean it word for word. Which is to say that, like, a half brain dead 5-year-old would understand and agree with me. So how the hell do you not understand what I'm saying? Or agree? You know, like, that, when I say that, it's because it's very literal. It's visceral. I'm experiencing that viscerally because of how intense it is to me. Especially emotively, let alone logically. Like, how do you... Because it's so illogical, intensely illogical to me. It's like, how do you not comprehend what I just said? How do you not see what I mean? Like, it's so basic. A child literally with brain damage, would literally understand everything I just said. And so that's why I say that, because I literally mean it. I really believe that would be true.
Wow.
And so, like... especially when it gets to that point, it drives me absolutely insane, and kind of pisses me off, because it's like, what?
Why?
How? In what universe? You know, like because it goes both ways at that point. Whenever you usually get to that point, it's because neither party can remotely comprehend how they think how the other person thinks that they make sense.
Exactly.
And so, and then you're just driven batty because, especially if you're like me, everyone else around that person agrees with them and says it made perfect sense, and none of them understand what you're saying. And therefore, they don't think it makes sense. How are you not supposed to feel like you're, I don't know, a freaking, you're going to turn into a black hole?
Exactly.
Like, what are you talking? What you're saying doesn't make any sense. You know, it drives me insane. Thankfully, it hasn't happened as much over the last, like, couple of years, but it still happens. And,
yes.
I mean, there's nothing, I feel like, quite more as visceral and intense of a negative amount of everything.
That's literally the thing that ticks me off.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very autistic thing, too, actually. It's highly autistic,
But
yeah.
Anyways, to get to the point, though, to get to the point when it comes to curse words.
Yes.
When it comes to curse words, though, you had a valid, you still have a valid point, though.
Yeah.
One person had to say it, and everyone had to agree.
Well, the majority of people had to agree.
Yes. The majority of the people had to agree.
Clearly, throughout human history and language.
Yes.
As proven by the people, the biblical figures or whatever.
Yes.
Not everyone agreed.
Not everyone did, no.
And therefore they continue to use it anyway, because it's like, well, fuck you.
But, I mean...
literally, actually.
Well, here's...
Case in point.
here's a very basic one.
Yeah.
The word harlot.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, it evolved eventually to the word whore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Didn't charlatan originally considered to be a bad word?
Charlatan? Yes, it was.
Thought so, yeah.
But ultimately, I think what it has to do with what the person was, though.
Right, yeah. Although charlatan would have less of a derogatory thing even back then. Because it was more about status. Ironically, it was more about status then than it was now. It's at least amongst the influential people, being the rich people, so the nobles and the royalty. But, like, charlatan basically... It almost basically was in translation like you're mischievous.
Exactly.
You kibitzed. You got up to quote unquote no good, aka you were you're being a brat, basically, you know. You're sticking your nose and your fingers in things and trying to stir a pot that you shouldn't be stirring, you know, charlatan. And, like, so in the grand scheme, even back then, that wasn't remotely as derogatory as it would be now, you know.
Well, basically, I think what happened, though, when it comes to some of these words, they changed their usage over time.
Right.
Through, what was it called? Another person using it in another frame or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or whatever. I mean, the part of the reasoning by which I used the point that people in the Bible cursed is because of the fact that there was language that wasn't consistent with honor and shame. Specifically, you have to boil down what a curse word ultimately is. Mm-hmm. A curse word is ultimately a word that is used to signify a behavior or a person that is, well, basically used in a derogatory sense in that regard.
Yeah, but that would just basically be slurs at that point, rather than and insults, rather than fuck or whatever, because that at that point that can't apply. Even though even modern day it's considered a very strong curse word by pretty much all of English.
Well, dude, I mean, what do you think?
The U.S. is the least adverse to it, but
the word "fuck" in that regard also is used to imply someone who is basically having sex.
Now, the origin of that word is still to this day hotly debated in linguistics and etymology, because there's multiple theories, like 4 main theories as to where the word fuck even started, let alone came from, and what it originally would have meant or had been used as. It's just very modern, that's the way it is. But that, and of course, again, a word of emphasis. So in other words, is to add, what do you call that? Intensifier. It's an intensifier word.
Well, most curse words are intensifiers now. So.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny now that I think about it. I guess I'll just leave that at that, even though there's a point I wanted to make with it. Scrub it. Because kind of more impulsively want to jump, or not jump, but continue on to another point, which is that, like, another reason why I think I was so frustrated by the whole bad word belief system or whatever growing up, especially as a teenager and on, because it lacked logic, because most of the time it came out of religious groups and sects that decided that, oh, this word is profane, this word is bad, this is a curse word, and so, like, that's where most of them came out of, especially with, go figure, Christianity. And so, like, you look at the history of that, and all these good, amazing Christians who are so devout and dedicated and blah, 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 right? These are the people who went and are like, well, I guess we can't say Jesus or God or damn, so let's say geez, and let's say darn, and let's, you know.
You know what? Like, that's actually a valid point.
Bruh, you hypocrite. You hypocrite, yeah. And so, like, that's another reason why it frustrated me growing up. Because it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now, you guys, it roots from a lot of you guys, and yet somehow you're, like, excusing it. You're like, you know, no excuse to use even, or try to use a different alternative, because it's clear that you're trying to not say fuck, and so you're saying frick. You can't say that either, that's unchristian. But then, it's uncouth, right? But then at the same time, you're especially not supposed to say God's name in vain. Okay, you're not supposed to say it in that way or expressive way or whatever else. Exactly. You're only supposed to use it as a devout, dedicated, impassioned, you know, way of directly speaking to him or referencing him. And same with Jesus, because Trinitarian stuff, I guess. And so, you know, you can't say Jesus or Jesus Christ. That's taking his name in vain. So you have to say Jeez or Jeepers or, you know, the rest of the knockoffs. And then you have the same thing on the other side with God. You know? And damn. You can't say damn. You can't say hell. So what do you say? You say H-E double hockey sticks. Hell. Everyone knows you're saying hell without saying it. And apparently that's different to where even your God is going to be accepting of this. Yeah, I don't think that's how that works, Tim. You know, like, it's just so illogically stupid.
It is.
Oh my god. But yeah, and so, like, again, to me, like, I feel like that even goes into slurs, actually, in my opinion.
Well, dude, okay, it begs the question, what about if...
You can't, just because it was originally some asshole who's genuinely bigoted, decided, I'm going to create this word, and I'm going to use it against you in a way that I know you're going to take offense to, because I mean it offensively. Because I'm an asshole, right? Like, and I'm prejudiced. Okay, cool. Just because they did that doesn't mean that every people should now never use it, because, you know, that these idiots used it back in the day in that way, you know. It's kind of like a great example of how stupid that mindset is like the word squaw, which came out of the Iroquois Native Americans, right? That was their word for woman. That's all it was. So they'd say your squaw or whatever when they were speaking to pioneers or settlers, you know, or you know, military men or whatever. And so it'd be squaw. Well, some prejudiced asshole back then decided to hijack it and turn it into a derogatory term for women. And so then all of a sudden, 1800s, and it's now considered derogatory and ill-intentioned. Okay, at the time, sort of can understand it. I kind of get it. I still don't like the fact that it's like, because this asshole and now a bunch of assholes who are prejudiced decided, I'm going to adopt that word and hijack it and turn it into an insult or a slur, means that nobody else can use it because, God forbid, you know, you're white and therefore you can't touch that word now.
You're
because
not allowed to.
It's only bad. No, that's not how that works. It's only bad to that person or the group of people, not necessarily to other people. And so, like, but the thing is, that died out to the extent they didn't even teach. I just scraped my teeth together. Fuck, I hate that. That to the fact that they stopped teaching that history behind the word squaw, to where literally it got so ill-used or disused that nobody even realized. They only saw it as a name.
Yeah.
For like Squaw Mountain or Squaw Creek or blah 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 blah. Right?
Woman Mountain, Woman
to where
Creek.
Right. And to where now sometimes it meant mother, but usually it meant woman. And so, you know, these last, you know, 20, 30, 40 years, nobody even fucking knew what squaw meant. They just thought it was a name. And it was a Native American name. That's all they knew, right? Okay, great. Until the Umatilla, here in Oregon, band of Native Americans. Remember, this is an Iroquois word, not from any of their branches or relatives of Native Americans. This is a completely divergent group. And Umatilla, as of like the mid-2010s, went on a crusade on the national politics to remove tons of words from being able to ever be said or be used in a name. And to have to rename everything that's called squaw. Because it was used derogatorily by settlers and military men. And therefore, you can't use it. While acknowledging that it was an Iroquois word, not theirs. Not a Paiute, not a Ute, not a Nez Perce, right? Not a Salish or Chinook or Kalapuya or Klamath, which are all the relatives of theirs. Not even Blackfeet, which are relatively close, but they're up in Canada. No. Iroquois.
Wow.
No relation. And they're like, you can't use that word and you have to change the names of all these places now because that's offensive. While literally educating people on its history of being hijacked and used offensively, while they themselves acknowledge it wasn't their word. But they're doing it for them. Even though the Iroquois were also one of the literal biggest in population and in land area Native American tribes throughout history in the United States. And yet, so in other words, there's still a bunch of them around, I guarantee it. And yet, They never had a problem with it. You know who did? A completely unrelated Native American tribe in Oregon. The Umatilla. Like, hello? You know? And it's like, and the worst, this is my point for mentioning this, right? What does that do? That now educates people and assholes, especially teenagers, who learn this and like, ooh, it was derogatory?
They use it.
I'm gonna use that way now for my girlfriend or whatever, my mom. That's squaw. And so guess what happens? They've now brought it back from the dead by educating people, most of them assholes, that it was used derogatorily, so now they'll use it the same way.
Exactly.
When none of us were any of the wiser to what it even meant or what it even was. I mean, just think about that.
Wow.
How absurd and stupid is that? So more to my point in that regard overall, including in slurs. Including in slurs, right? Like, I didn't know what kike was at all until Myers-Leonard said it, and there was this big controversy, and I'm like, what the fuck is a kike? I laughed and cackled because I'm like, that looks like a word that a kid would babble if they're trying to say Nike or something. And they say kike. Or you was trying to say bike, right? And they ended up saying that instead. Which, think about it, that makes perfect sense. Mike and Ike's. How easy would it be to be dyslexic and say fucking kike? Mike and kikes. So, like, think about that. That's a slur. I didn't even know it was until Myers-Leonard said it. It was a big controversy. I'm like, fuck it, I gotta look this up. Why is this such a big deal? It's apparently a slur, apparently. Okay, how is it a slur? And then I'm like, oh, okay, it's apparently a Jewish slur. Didn't know that before. I had to educate myself on it because I'm like, why is everyone mad? Because it's so disused. You know what I mean? So, like, very few people really in the English-speaking world even use that or even knew it existed. And all of a sudden now, you know, everyone decides we gotta fucking blow this up so that way, I guess, everybody now knows that this was a thing. And so there's probably now an infinite amount more people, especially assholes, who are gonna now use that term in that way, as it was originally intended when they created it. Because you just educated them, because you gave it so much traction, so much attention, so much media and everything else. This is why that's stupid, you know? And so, like, there's that, and then obviously, you know, nigga or whatever else. There's so many different slurs that, like, either you don't know the history of, or even if you do, most people are never going to use it that way anymore. They're going to say it like with nigga, it's like a song lyric or something, right? They're going to use it in the way that a lot of black people these days use it, which is basically just saying brother, you know, a bro, or whatever, you know what I mean? Or like my family or whatever. Like, it's technically kind of like a term of endearment and friendship now amongst them. And so it's just like, okay, you know. And so, like, my point being is that there's also so many, like, kike or whatever else, or squaw, that we don't even know to this day, because it's so disused and it's not taught about, that we wouldn't even know if you didn't give it attention and talk about it. So, like, I feel like that kind of logically proves why even slurs should technically be allowed to be said by everybody, because, like, again, it goes back to your intention, right? So it's just ridiculous, like, to me, because it's like, why police your speech so much?
So,
like that,
honestly,
just because
man, I literally believe that this mindset actually goes back to Christianity. Because
I'm sure it does. So that's kind of full circle back to the beginning of this too. Yeah.
Yes, I literally believe that this mindset comes back to Christianity. That certain words are sort of like incantations or whatever and stuff like that. It's basically superstition.
Actually, you're probably right. But that would technically be mysticism, and that's technically paganism, and therefore
true. But
they're defying their own damn beliefs and doctrines.
Well, dude, okay, all right. So the reasoning why I frame it in that regard is because all right. I'll just be. I'm just gonna tell you flat out. As far as Judaism is concerned, what was it called? One of the things that Jews are taught straight off from the get-go is that there is no such thing as a secret revelation. Mm-hmm. All right, like say for instance this. Basically, if like, what was it called? one of the things that we're taught straight off from the cradle is that there's a method wherewith you can test a prophet.
Right.
Basically, in this regard, you can verify whether or not a prophet is legitimate or if he's illegitimate. Basically, if a prophet supposedly changes a commandment, or if they change the tradition in which and how it was presented, then they have changed that and thus they become false. Or if they say that was for back then,
Right.
or whatever, then they still become false. Or if they're wrong in that regard, then they are false. So ultimately, the fact is, like, say for instance this. I pick up this rock right there. To a Jew, this rock is just that. It's just a rock. In ancient times, some people would use that rock as a divine instrument to get secret revelations from the gods in that regard. So anything that is used in creation, things that are, what was it called? Some hidden intent behind words or whatever. Yeah. That's no.
Yeah.
Have a cone.
Yes, you have a pine cone.
Go on, snow cones.
I'm letting our audience know that you got a pine cone.
Correct.
A near perfect specimen.
A
little indented on the base, but
It doesn't look wonderful.
it's a little ponderosa cone.
There are two Hebrew words for there are two Hebrew words that actually fit the word for curse, and amazingly, it's very interesting. The word the word for curse, which is basically a divine curse, is the word alal, which means ultimately to pronounce a divine curse. Then there's the word kalal, which is ultimately an insult. It comes from the root
Like,
call.
I would curse you, or I curse you.
No,
Or
more
curse you.
like to be swift or trifling.
To be swift?
Yeah.
I don't see how that would be an insult of any kind.
So basically,
Trifling, I guess, but that's like basically, to us, trifling today would mean being somebody who's basically getting stuck on little details.
Okay, so
basically being semantic.
All right. Well, ultimately, it means to. It's used to mean swift, but also to be light. To treat lightly. Essentially.
Oh, okay.
So
Still, both of those feel like a real big stretch to call it an insult.
I know.
It's like, sounds more like a minor complaint.
But I think that ultimately it could be used to mean, what was it called? To mean slur, though. So I think we've hit the mindset right on the.
What was it, a bug?
Oh, a little bug. So I think we've got the mindset down pat of what ultimately this was. Essentially, it's a slur, something that treats someone ill, lightly or whatever. Could be viewed as a minor complaint, but could also be as an extension to treat someone's reputation falsely or badly.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
So,
Something I thought about, even though I said superstition, we could talk about on my way back, or on my way there. I did think about when I was leaving, though, like, we could also talk a little bit about, like, how we talk, how we speak, how we say our words, because it's actually really bizarre to, like, start to realize, pay attention to and listen to and watch people speak, especially English speakers, whether they're all from the U.S. Some are from Canada, some are from South Africa. You know, Aussie land, Kiwi land, Bertan.
Britannia.
I just said Bertan because I intentionally get dyslexic. I choose to put the I before the R instead. Bertan. Anyway. But it's just really interesting, and it's getting more and more interesting to me now because, like, I'm especially editing these episodes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I notice, and I've noticed this a little bit before, but not as much as I do editing these episodes, that when I speak versus how most people speak, at least in the U.S., actually even in Britain, I speak very differently when I form my words because I'm a tongue fronter.
Yeah.
So all my words are coming and forming right at the very front of my mouth and on the back of my top teeth. Or through my teeth like this. Almost lispy. My tongue ends up entering between them. And so it's like, it all's tongue fronting is how I say pretty much, I'll form every single word I say, just about. I rarely ever have any clench in my jaw or speak through the teeth or the mandibles or, yeah. It's really interesting to me that that's the case. Because, like,
It actually,
I don't know, it's weird.
I think that sort of implies how a person's, what was it called? I want to call it, it's, shoot. Forgot what they, it's supposed to go bang.
Dead. Yeah.
No, the, what was it called?
Or as my grandma would have said, when she says well, or somebody says well, it's like hole in the ground.
Hole in the ground, yes. The,
English is so stupid. Or let's not get sidetracked on that.
yeah, we're just not.
Try not to, at least.
It's a, I think we would call it, the, what is that called? How the British form their words and stuff like that, and how they sound.
So, the main
Dialect.
Oh, that too, yeah. But I was gonna say is that the main thing, like actual structure in linguistics, is that they're rhotic, and most people here in the United States are non-rhotic. So that's why they have an intrusive R over there, because they have a really difficult time saying anything that has an R in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Or especially any consonants that follow vowels or vowel sounds. Whereas we're very vowel sound heavy in our emphasis, including in the syllables that we say.
Yeah.
In the U.S. versus in England, they're very emphatic on the latter syllables. So usually we're early, the first syllables, they're the latter half of the syllables in a word. Or
Aramaic, between Aramaic and Hebrew, that's the exact same concept there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, if I was to give you a crash course in between the two, it would, it's almost like,
wait. I might be being dyslexic. It might actually be that we're rhotic and they're non-rhotic. I can't remember which way that works. It's kind of hard for me to keep those two in alignment correctly. I'm going to stick with the first one, though, because I have a bad habit of second-guessing myself and then finding out that the first time I was right. So I'm just going to stick with that they're rhotic and we're non-rhotic.
Okay.
But you'd think, because it has to do with especially the R's, you think that would mean that would mean that we are rhotic and they're non-rhotic. And you see how that works? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's the other way around, though.
Well, Aramaic, if I was to give you a crash course in it, basically, they pronounce their consonants completely different than the Hebrews did.
Mm-hmm.
At least some of them.
Yeah. But, yeah, and then, like, so the other part of that is that Britons, or I should say people from Britain, they also put the emphasis not just on the syllables, the consonants, but also the consonants themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas we don't. Right? Yeah. Like I said, that's why I made that differentiation a little bit earlier with us, is that we speak usually in the U.S. with emphasis on our vowels. A little bit, especially in syllables. Whereas they're like, they're basically, their brains are wired to emphasize and focus heavily on consonants, and ours are a little bit more balanced and also more vowel based. By the way, yeah, these benches are just, they suck.
Exactly, they suck.
That's why he keeps getting up. I'm actually surprised I haven't had to do that yet, or I haven't like grimaced or like in as much added pain as I was at the bench at that park, Bethany Lake Park. But yeah,
and they're not nailed down, so at times it's horrible.
At any point in this episode, if you see like us react, like or whatever, and then this you hear or you see yourself, like your view just kind of like go up and down, it's because this is not bolted or chained to the ground or the concrete at all, and it's a little uneven. Exactly. And I don't know if like the bench is slightly bent or what, but like especially on this end, you sit down or get up and it's just
exactly.
Or it's awkward, especially the further to the left you get towards the edge. But yeah, it's a thing. But anyway, yeah, I like how we're gonna have occasional shots where it's just like this. But at least the channel handle's there.
Yes.
Well, the people are literally actively watching an episode. You heard nothing. Reinforcement.
The channel.
These are, by the way, these shirts of ours are also designed by me. I just kind of threw them together, the design.
Yeah, he did an impeccable job designing them.
Yeah, I like how, unless you're OCD, then you hate this so much, because there's like, this is off-center, technically, from us, and so is this, a little bit, but yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. Anyway, but yeah, it's also interesting just to, like, think about, like, the enunciation differences between, and even word choice differences, between different places, even just here in the U.S.
Absolutely.
Too, you know? Like, you don't necessarily notice it until you really start to pay attention, and then you're like, wait a minute, what? You know, like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Like, in the U.S., it seems like the most difficult accent to nail down or to get right by most people in this country is, ironically, here in the Northwest. Most people have the most difficult time trying to mimic our accent and how we say words and names, especially names. Oh God, you put anybody else in the entire country from anywhere else in the country, right? You try to get them to say place names in the Northwest, they're going to miserably fail. They're going to face plant into a concrete
no kidding
wall and drown in tar. Fresh laid tar and asphalt. Because they just cannot figure it out. That's why most people, they can't say Oregon right. They also cannot say Willamette right.
Oregon.
No, all are wrong. It's Oregon. It's like an IH sound that's really short, sharp. Oregon, or Oregon. UH, right? We're very big on our on the middle of our words and names. We here in Oregon, we always have like an ich or sound.
Exactly.
Slapped into the middle of it, especially if it's an e in the middle of the name or the word. For some reason, we've always done that, where we have an ich or sound instead, and it's very short. It's not long at all. It's very subtle. You know. I'm sorry, my brain just immediately thinking of that scene from Psych, where he's talking about the difference between Gaelic and Irish. Or no, Gaelic and Scottish. See, the difference is very subtle. Very subtle. Gaelic or Scottish. The difference is yeah, anyway. That's such a simple but good scene. It's so funny. It's such an unnecessary scene too, but it just fits the characters too well that you just can't leave it out. Anyway, but yeah, like, and then also Washington's weird compared to us, because here in Oregon, because Washingtonians say some of their place names how we would never say them. Like, the town of Sequim.
Yeah.
It's spelled Sequim. I used to always say Squeam because my brain just ejects the E by default, and when it sees it in my head, my brain shows me it. It doesn't show an E. There's just squim. Technically, I guess is how
Squim.
how you would say it, how it's spelled. But my head is also kind of a childlike, and so it's like scream, and it has to be in a weird voice. It's like scream because it's fun. It's just fun. So it's like I called it Squeam for the longest time. I still do, just to be an asshole now. Because apparently they don't also hate it if you say sequim, because they're like, ha ha, you fucked up. It's not how we say it. And I think it is something like squim. I think they just say squim. And it's like, sorry, it's seekum. They say it as seekum. And it's just like, I can see it, but I hate that. You know what I mean? Like, why do you say it like that? I think it's a Native American name. I think that's why.
No kidding.
Hello. But yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to me how they do that. And then I think they told me that Dungeness is not said Dungeness, even though it is if it's the crab, but not the town. Which is super frustrating for me, because I'm like, that does not make sense. At that point, you have to be trolling everyone. Like, that's just stupid, you know? And the funny thing is like, with Washingtonians, they default to Puyallup. Right? Because, like, nobody can say that right. Apparently, even Northwesterners can't usually say it right. Puyallup. Or Puyallup. Yeah, it's not difficult to say it. It's actually kind of easy to figure it out. It's almost like you're saying pew, like instead of shoot or bang, you say pew, right? Or instead of gun, you say pew pew. Puyallup. Puyallup. It's not difficult to say it. I've never had issues with that. That was automatic. Because as soon as I saw it on a map, I'm like, Puyallup. Yeah, apparently that's how you say it. So, like, I don't know how people think that up there that's difficult to say, but most people fail that the most. And it's just like, wow. I don't know how you do that. It's actually, now that I think about it, if you think about how people say Rainier across the country, how does everyone say Rainier? And they don't fuck it up and say Rainier. Because it's spelled like that. Or Rainier, even, because it's spelled like that, right? And especially people from the Northeast, they love adding the intrusive R on the end of every name and word, right? And so they love it, or ear, I-E-R. So it's like, okay, so you should naturally say it that way, how it's spelled.
Yes.
But you don't. You still say it right, and you say Rainier. How the hell do you manage that? Like, how do you contradict your natural speaking patterns when you see that name, and you're like, no, that's Rainier. Huh? Make it make sense. What have you done? Like,
McFly. Hello.
Hell's frozen over. Apparently, you said a word right without adding an R.
Okay, I got a funny for you. Since he just said hell is frozen over.
Yeah.
Just completely and utterly off the cuff. What was it called? So, people like myself, we don't believe in a concept of a hell or this or whatever. The fact is that, what was it called? From my perspective, the concept of hell that Yeshua was talking about in the New Testament was ultimately a garbage heap.
Yeah. I forgot you mentioned that recently, yeah.
Yeah, it was a garbage heap.
A literal dump.
Yeah, a literal dump.
So, as I said to him the other day when he mentioned that, I'm like, so literally existence itself as we exist in right now.
Exactly.
Basically just Earth and humanity is literal hell.
Yes, exactly. With that, just to be a total dick about it, there are times when, yes, hell actually does freeze over. Mm-hmm. The literal location.
Mm-hmm. And it's either all of Earth, or it is Hell, Michigan, or Hell, Sweden, or Hell, Norway.
Or hell over there in where the trash heap is.
Yeah. So, it's just ironic. But yeah, like, what are some words that you always have heard people say here in the U.S. that they say differently than we do? That's always just kind of like, it makes you just kind of almost startle a little bit and be like, I'm sorry, what? Do you mean, you know what I mean? Like, what are some words that you can think of off the top of your head?
I can't think of any, man.
Wow.
Dude, I don't get out, man.
He claimed, well, I don't either. I get out less than you do, actually, by a long shot right now. So, to be fair, for like over a year, if not longer.
Shut up! Shut up! Don't accuse me of facts!
It's ironic that he says he's highly interested in language and all that and studying it, and yet...
Don't accuse me of facts!
Off the top of his head. Like, I can think about the topic at length right now off the top of my own head, but apparently...
Yeah, don't accuse me of facts! How dare you!
This is America. We don't speak facts.
No, we don't speak facts!
We speak bullshit and insults. We're assholes, goddammit. That's for the Canadians to do.
No, when it comes to linguistics, I mean, I'm sorry, but I speak English, bad English, Greek, and biblical Hebrew.
Specifically bad English. He's
specifically bad English.
He speaks fluent 80s band. Hair metal. No, actually, no, I'm more likely to be the one who would actually speak and know fluent 80s rock and hair metal. Because I'm very into that. He's into the actual metal, and I'm just into rock. That area. Anyway, yeah, like... At the moment, I'm actually drawing blanks myself. That's why I asked you to do it. I was trying to defer,
there's probably one.
For some reason. Yeah.
And this is where I got it. You know how I always say brother or brada?
Yeah. That's actually very Jamaican. Brada specifically is very Jamaican.
It is also...
what do they call that?
Hawaiian.
Jamaican? Yeah.
It's also Hawaiian. And I got it from Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Who is not even from Hawaii. He's from... I think he's from like Atlanta, isn't he?
Yes, but he lives there now and stuff. So basically, I used to watch his show.
That dude is a fucking prick. He actually is. He's genuinely one of the biggest, most arrogant, forceful pricks that people can meet. Like, there's a lot of people who are fans of him, and then they meet him, and they're like, he is probably the biggest dick I've ever met. Like, he's just an absolute asshole. Of the nth degree. Like, everybody pretty much apparently agrees on that. So, yeah, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, look at his fucking... the way he acts and the way he fucking dresses and his persona he created for himself. It's like, yeah, it kind of fits, doesn't it? It's kind of on the nose. Yeah. But you said divisive, which is more phonetic. It's more literally how it's spelled. But I've always said divisive.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's interesting. There's a lot of words like that, actually, where even here in the United States, people who grew up in the same spot will say it very differently. It's actually very interesting.
That's, I mean, there are times when I don't pronounce the words accurately and stuff like that, so... But I approach it from the phonetics and stuff like that, so,
how it sounded out rules,
Exactly.
Which, that could go into... general English language problems again.
No kidding.
That's we'll just stick to the beginning piece of it, right? Which is that for especially people who may not be from here or may have forgotten how this works, is that in school, and I know they still do this to this day, when you're in elementary school, they constantly harp on you to learn the language and speak. The correct way is to sound it out. Exactly. They always say sound it out. But then almost instantly, the teachers get on your ass and they get so angry at you and they're like, why are you saying it that way? That's wrong. You say it like this. And it's like, but it's spelled that way. And you told me to sound it out. And you're like, no, you don't do that because, and then insert infinite exceptions. Is where all the exception rules come in.
Oh gosh, that just drives me up a wall.
It's like, so in other words, there's no actual rules that apply in English.
No kidding.
It's just a old west vigilante free for all of sounds, and you're like, yep, that works. And it's like they're like, this is the rule, a hard rule. You can't change that, except that rule has an exception. And that exception to that rule has an exception itself. And then that exception's exception has an exception, that has an exception, that has an exception, that has an exception.
You know what else? You know what we're going to call it? We're just going to call English, from this point forward, a series of grunts and groans.
Actually, yeah, pretty much. It's a very Tim Taylor kind of perspective on it, but it's actually not wrong.
A series of grunts and groans.
I feel like
that have no rules or
one
symmetry.
of the extinct primitive languages, from like Africa or something that went extinct like 10,000 years ago. If they heard us speaking, they'd be so confused.
Oh, no
compared
kidding.
to like everyone else, and they'd be like, "What? Like, what is that? That's not language." It's like, and yet they literally are probably mostly grunts and like moans and stuff, and it's like, well, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Oh, it's so stupid.
But yes, dude, I mean, that's literally why I appreciate biblical Hebrew more, because the symmetry of the grammar alone is enough to
as you've always said, it's also very literal.
Exactly.
It's kind of hard to misinterpret it.
It's extremely hard to misinterpret it.
Whereas with English, of course, literally a word can now have apparently an infinite amount of definitions and uses all at the same time.
Oh, God.
Ugh. It drives me insane, because it's like, that's not how language is supposed to work. The most important foundational rule of language is that every time you need a new word, you invent it. So that you can then apply your new definition and use case to that new word you just invented.
Exactly.
That's the entire fucking point. Because otherwise, nothing's clear or nothing's concise. There's no way to really understand each other, because you could mean one of 15 different things using one word. Which is true now.
Gosh.
And so it's like, do you see the problem?
Yeah, do you see the problem?
If anything, now everyone is going to be considered autistic just because nobody can understand each other exactly for that reason. And it's like, this is the fucking problem. It's so stupid.
What's even worse is that in the Orwellian book of 1984, we're going to get to a point where we're going to need thought crime, and then also we're going to need a new, what is it called, book for the new newspeak.
You do realize that's been a thing now for a long time, right?
I know.
Not just here, but everywhere in the world, but especially Britain and to an extent Australia. They've been leading that front. And it's just like, you could literally get arrested and put into not just jail, but prison there for an extended period of time and pay a hefty fine for saying something you're not apparently allowed to say, because it might be potentially offensive. It's literally a thing. Literally a law. And it's been that way since like 2020. And it's like 6 years now. And it's like, what? But then you can do all sorts of other things and that are actually crimes, that are actually not debatable in that way, that are terrible things. Assaults, stabbings, attempted murder, whatever else. And you somehow can sometimes get less of a crime if you're like fit one of the DEI labels of like, oh, you're Muslim and you're an immigrant. Which I hate that that's a trope, because obviously a lot of people, especially more quote-unquote right-wing, if you use the obviously oversimplified and not accurate spectrum of linearism, but, like, in the world, love to, right now especially, they love to harp on that, but it's like, and it's not correct most of the time. They're just being prejudiced pricks. But, like, in that context, that's when it becomes a thing, where you have to point it out, and it's like, that doesn't make sense. That's extremely fucked up. Like, you're saying, oh, you can't say this, or that, and you also can't believe this, or that, and you can't express this or that, and you can't do this, because it might be offensive to some group, supposedly. However, you can stab a bitch.
And, not only this...
And you're fine as long as you're Muslim and an immigrant.
And, not only this, we've got a list of certain belief structures that are considered now taboo, but unfortunately we were told that it would be offensive to have a different belief.
It's just ridiculous, right?
It is ridiculous.
Ridiculous. You just said ridiculous. Yay!
Shut up.
We got our fucking Warner Brothers cartoon moment.
Yes, we did.
All right, Bugs Bunny, you gonna tuck your wrong tween at the Albuquerque? Tweaky. Yeah.
Anyways.
Dude. Yeah, no, But I tell you, man. Hey, don't hurt him. He's a fine specimen.
He's a very fine specimen.
We don't need assault and battery upon my cone of pine. Ponderosa pine. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of different, like, ways of speaking just English, including just in the U.S. alone, that's so different, and it's just so weird to me. Yeah, like, the way that people enunciate certain words or names, it's just... Well, like, in general English, right? Because this spread from Britain to the U.S., especially via New York, and so it's just kind of stuck, is whenever somebody sees the name plate of Greenwich, they say Greenwich, and I want to scream until I die of fucking pulmonary embolisms, because it just pains me so, it pisses me off way more than it has any business, and it's something as simple as that should piss anybody off. It's not healthy, but God, it pisses me. It makes it so viscerally angering. It's like, just say Greenwich. It's spelled Greenwich. It's literally right in front of your fucking face. Why do you say Greenwich? Who's Gren and why is he itchy? Like, just, it's a sandwich which is green.
I was just gonna bring up sandwich.
It's Dr. Seuss, not you're on drugs. Like, I did.
Well, hello there, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, it's like, instead of green eggs and ham, it's green sandwiches and rye, I guess. I don't know. Like, what? Oh, which shade of green? Greenwich. It's so odd.
All right.
Anyway.
I think we should call it.
Yeah, go. She's a perfect time because it's an hour and 55 minutes.
Yes.
On the dot right now. So, yeah. And I'm going to be out of water here in about 2 seconds. I also haven't eaten today.
Grand.
Oh, actually, it's a good thing I haven't. I have not been adhering to my health regiment, like, at all the last, actually, probably around a month, unfortunately. And then the dog nuts didn't help that you brought us.
I'm sorry.
It's fine, but, like...
Don't!
It's a bit of a setback. Because you expect me to just leave them there? How dare you? Yeah. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. We do. I should say we do.
No kidding.
I realized that my brain just defaulted back to as if I was making my own video by myself. I haven't been doing that for 11 years. Leave me alone. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this episode. We're happy you could join us, especially in an outdoor setting.
Yes.
Even though this isn't the most optimal, it isn't exactly the location that we wanted to do it in. It's fine. It's been nice to be out here anyway, despite it. It's been a perfect temperature, like, low 60s.
Yeah.
Nice breeze. It's about the same. Just very gentle and light. It's been beautiful today. Not too sunny, not too cloudy. It's just been kind of perfect, especially now. It's just, yeah. And also, I feel like this episode, for being truly the most off-the-cuff I think we've ever done before, this is by far the most fluid and best episode we've ever done, just in the sense of how well we've been able to go topic to topic without getting too sidetracked.
Exactly.
I think we've been on track the entire episode pretty much, which is just unbelievable, because especially for me and my brain, that just doesn't happen.
Exactly.
So
you
basically witnessed history for us here today in this episode. So yeah, it's kind of nice to say that happened finally. But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching, listening, and remember that if you're not yet subscribed to the podcast channel, Official OTC Pod, you should do so, because if you've been consistently listening or enjoying the episodes, it's not only helpful, especially in the algorithm and pushing it, but also it's especially great because, unlike every other podcast in existence, especially the big ones, you're not going to be spammed on this channel. It's just the episodes once every 2 weeks. So that's it. That's the only notifications you'll get is once every 2 weeks. That said, once again, one more time, thank you so much for watching and join the conversation in the comments below. And we hope to see you in whatever our next, whatever we next talk about, I guess.
Exactly.
And until then, stay safe out there, or don't. It's your choice. And I'm going to go drown myself in a vat of soup. We have a thing going on now where I'm now trying to, whether you realize it or not, where I'm trying to say something different than I normally say. Because he's like, you're going to go Murder a small child, because I love saying that. And then in my videos, I kind of have a gag with myself, or in my viewers, where on my channel, where I'm like, the other go get hit by a truck. And so instead, it's like I change it up every so often. I always have that stall, and then I'll just randomly improvise something on the spot, just to see if I can throw people off. But anyway, yeah, that's about it. So take care, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.